Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by Naomi Campbell. She may be one of the greatest models to have ever graced our planet, but her pretty face and long limbs can't seem to hide the deplorable behavior displayed over the years. Naomi has faced her fair share of controversy like the rest of them. Substance abuse and alcohol addiction plaguing her latter model years, like many in her profession have fallen victim to. But what about repeatedly physically assaulting your employees? Countless assaults, crimes, and an inexcusable flight log tied back to notorious sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein were all uprooted just a few years back with Naomi's name plastered all over it. And we want to know just how much Ms. Campbell has been getting away with the unthinkable. It's no question that Naomi is that girl, taking the modeling world as well as other endeavors by storm since the late 80s. It's safe to say that Naomi Campbell is the greatest of all time. Her ability to obtain the level of relevancy throughout her 30-plus years is a major accomplishment of its own. Since she stepped foot on the runway, she's been able to capture all of our attention alongside the Super Six, Christy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, Cindy Crawford, and company. She broke barriers and made history, appearing on countless magazines, runways, films, music videos, and TV shows. You know what? I don't even think Naomi needs an introduction. Sure, she's no doubt the GOAT, but a GOAT with a long history of violence that oftentimes than not overshadows her accomplishments. Apparently, our girl loves to swing, or throw, hit. How about all of the above? So much so that she'd famously wear apparel stamped with the phrase, "Naomi hit me, and I loved it." Between the years of 1998 and, well, today, Naomi has garnered the reputation of being the ultimate diva. From her notorious phone-throwing incidents to her beef with Tyra Banks, Naomi was allegedly out here stopping bags and catching special flights, all while still being held the queen of the runway. Post-supermodel Naomi, you know, the one friends with Gianni Versace and Kate Moss's better half? One gigantic hot mess. It made for great entertainment and reality TV perhaps, but we don't think her former housekeepers and assistants were laughing in the thick of it. By the year 1998, Naomi's ego was bigger than Mount Everest, and the media would hound her following reports of an assault after her new personal assistant that had been working with her for less than 2 weeks said Naomi grabbed her by the throat and hit her with a phone, resulting in the assistant filing criminal charges. That same year, another assistant would fall victim to Naomi's wrath in Toronto after Naomi had punched and hit them with a telephone. Something about Naomi and these phones. In June of 2000, another personal assistant and secretary, Vanessa Frisbee, said that Naomi attacked her. 2001, Naomi squares up with a photographer outside of a boyfriend's home. In 2004, housemaid Millicent Burton accused her of kicking, scratching, and slapping her pimp style whilst bunched up in Naomi's apartment. The same exact year, another former assistant, Simone Craig, filed an assault and battery case claiming that Naomi held her hostage at an LA hotel. 2005, the phones come back with a vengeance, and Naomi is accused of beating yet another assistant with a BlackBerry during an argument in Brazil. And in 2006, she threw a phone at another housekeeper. Oh, y'all thought it was over? Also in 2006, a woman, Gabby Gibson, accused everybody's favorite diversity advocate of employment discrimination, civil assault, civil battery, amongst others. Apparently, Naomi physically assaulted Gabby, called her names, and threatened to have Miss Gibson arrested after she, Naomi, got upset after, get this, after being unable to find a specific pair of jeans. The list goes on and on and on, and honestly seems to be never ending. Well, dang, Naomi. Aside from her physical altercations and chucking phones at people's faces, the girl has her moments. Despite everything we are hearing of Naomi's rage, on camera, however, More specifically, during sit-down sessions and interviews, she appeared to have another side of her, a kinder, more gentle side. Was it all for show? Possibly. However, one thing Miss Campbell never did was tiptoe around the truth. For the most part, that is. Yeah, I threw that phone at her. And what about it? Sure, I was decked out in designer whilst doing community service, and perhaps I did wear Naomi Campbell hit me and I left it shirt out in the open, but for dang good reasons. During sit-downs with Barbara Walters and Oprah, Naomi hesitantly disclosed a perhaps even deeper reason for all of those headlines we've been hearing about since the late 90s. A modeling diva who throws a tantrum every time she doesn't get her way has been the narrative the media ran with for years. And although that may be true, two truths can exist at one time. Another truth being one of Naomi's. The truth about her childhood traumas and the hollowing, deep-rooted fears of abandonment. Her mother worked tirelessly to put Naomi in prestigious performing art schools. But although Mama Campbell was doing everything she thought was right, she still wasn't around often to actually see her child. On top of Naomi being one of many children whose dad went to the store for milk and never returned, a buildup of sadness accumulated throughout Naomi's upbringing. That sadness then manifested into fear, then anger. She openly admitted that she hasn't always displayed her anger appropriately. Not only that, but even deeper underlying issues could potentially answer for her adult behavior. Insecurity, low self-esteem, rejection, and loneliness, which would put anyone in a vulnerable place. Sure, she comes across as a tough, mean girl who'll hit you with whatever object is near, but in her eyes, if she didn't, people would walk all over her like how they'd previously done in her childhood. We love a self-aware queen, but does that excuse her problematic history? Countless assaults, spats with the police, and rehab stints, later including a permanent ban from British Airways, leads us into the infamous flight log. In case you weren't aware, in 2019, famous billionaire Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and convicted on conspiracy and multiple counts of trafficking minors with the help of female companion Ghislaine Maxwell. Along with the shocking discovery, a number of people, evidence, and flight logs have been disclosed, along with an alleged contact book filled with a number of high-profile celebrities. Naomi being amongst those celebrities who'd flown on the Lolita Express, the name given to Epstein's planes that often be used to fly his companions and friends to private islands. So you best believe when word of Naomi catching flights on Epstein's plane got around, people assumed the worst. Well, not so fast. Naomi was not about to be caught up in foolishness, and in August of 2019, she took to her YouTube channel to address some things and put the rumors to rest. She admitted she did know Epstein after being introduced to him by ex-boyfriend Flavio Briatore, but insists she was clueless about Jeffrey's wrongdoings. What he's done is indefensible. When I heard what he had done, it sickened me to my stomach just like everybody else, because I've had my fair share of sexual predators, and thank God I have good people around me who protected me from this. I stand with the victims. They're scarred for life. That should have been the end of that, but of course, anything involved in a case like that can't be that easy. A woman and one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Roberts Guthrie, actually has come out and disputed Naomi's claims, stating that Naomi was not only aware, but a very close friend of Ghislaine Maxwell. Aside from her ties to Jeffrey Epstein, Naomi found herself in the middle of yet another trial this time with ex-Liberian President Charles Taylor. Taylor, who'd been accused of 17 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity committed during the conflict in Sierra Leone. Prosecutors called Naomi to the stand in hopes of her providing evidence that Charles Taylor had been in possession of uncut diamonds, which he's alleged to have received in return for providing guns to rebels. Naomi admitted to receiving blood diamonds from 2 African men who left them at her doorstep after a 1997 charity event she'd partake in South Africa hosted by Nelson Mandela. Thinking they were nothing but dirty stones, she'd leave them idle for hours before telling charity boss Jeremy Ratcliffe to do something with them. Despite Ratcliffe taking the diamonds away from Naomi, prosecutors noticed some faults in Naomi's recanting. Miss White, Naomi's agent for 17 years, said she saw Naomi flirting with Taylor at the charity dinner, and in the midst of it all, Charles said he would give Naomi some diamonds. Mia Farrow, who'd also attended the event, also contradicted Naomi's claims. All in all, Naomi would be excused and Charles Taylor would wind up serving a 50-year prison sentence. Naomi Campbell has gone through the motions over these last few decades, and her legendary status as one of the world's top models has unfortunately been overshadowed by her tendency to lash out at her fellow employees. But despite her long list of assault cases and ability to not only still be the queen of the runway, but be applauded and viewed as an icon not for modeling, but for her antics, she still had the industry's boot on her back since her rise to fame. Her nonsensical beef with Tyra Banks being a great example of Naomi's mean girl ways that play into the scarcity of race within such a field. Nowadays, she appears to be more on the calmer side. Her charitable causes, donations, and urgency to propel Black models into their rightfully deserved spotlight is just as long, if not longer, than her history of assault. Whether that's due to years of healing or being hit with so many court cases that she finally gave up on the whole diva act. As her Instagram bio states, a mother, model, cultural innovator, and activist are what she's currently focused on, and as stated earlier on in the video, multiple truths can exist at once, and one undeniable truth is that Naomi will always be one of the greatest to ever do it, assaults and all. Do you think Naomi should have gotten more backlash for her behavior, or do you think she's learned her lesson? Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. And stay tuned for more true celebrity stories.